Hello everyone, I am the Weather Dude. Welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming major winter storm that we discussed a couple days ago that is now going to be heading into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So we're just going to get right into it here. Be sure to like and subscribe, and to get the best weather content, be sure to watch the entire video, and we're just going to get again right into it here. So, what changed from the last time we discussed this? Well, there is now a winter storm watch here for parts of Wisconsin, even the eastern tip of Minnesota. So you can see like Eau Claire and Wausau and La Crosse, Wisconsin, for example, all those areas under a winter storm watch. And here we can read some of the watches here. So snowfall rates could exceed an inch an hour at times, amounts of 4 to 7 inches, with some spots getting a lot more than that, as you'll see in some of the modeling later. We got all the global models, and we've got some higher definition models now that the storm is getting closer to arrival. So you want to stick around for those because they paint a very interesting picture. You can see here, these are for different counties. So this one county here, excess of 6 inches, all right, excess of 6 inches. So a lot of places here, even 6 to 9 inches here on this tag here. So, and that's for Price County. So there is going to be a lot of snow with this, a lot of wind. We're going to get into all the aspects here. All right, and first, let's take a look at the winter storm severity index. All right, so you can see the overall impact here, mostly minor. All right, maybe some, you see here, expect a few inconveniences of daily life and use caution while driving. But some areas across Wisconsin and Michigan, and a few areas in here, in that moderate zone, meaning hazardous driving conditions, use extra caution. There could be some closures and disruptions, and expect disruptions to your daily life. All right, so, and even in that little red zone, some major impacts across the UP of Michigan. All right, considerable disruptions, dangerous or impossible driving conditions, and even some widespread closures and disruptions. All right, so that's the overall impact. Again, you can break it down here by snow amount. All right, ice accumulation shouldn't be too big of an issue, except for on the northeastern tip of Minnesota, we could see some ice accumulation that could cause some minor to moderate impacts. Flash freeze, not really a worry here. Blowing snow, as you'll see with the wind, some of the wind models, or some of the forecasts that the models show for the wind, we could see some minor blowing snow across Wisconsin. That could, of course, make it extra hazardous to travel. All right, ground blizzard, really not much of an issue there. So let's take a look at the winter storm outlook. Now, this is the probability of exceeding the criteria for a winter storm warning. And as you can see by the red here, and it's widespread. I mean, northeastern Minnesota and down Wisconsin here in the UP and Michigan, we have a 50 to 80% chance of exceeding warning criteria, which is why I put in the title that we could see Winter Storm Wayne come of this major winter storm here. All right, and even a little bit of purple in the northern part of Wisconsin, exceeding 80% chance of warning criteria. All right, and it's a pretty, widespread area here, right? Across northern central Wisconsin, just east of Eau Claire. And I'm sorry, if I'm saying that wrong, I'm not from Wisconsin. East of Eau Claire and east of La Crosse there, pretty much between those areas in Green Bay. It could be like the middle and western part of the state, and of course northeastern Minnesota by like International Falls, just north of Duluth. All right, so let's take a look at the Mississippi River flooding, because there will be some rain that comes in for some of these areas first, a little bit of rain that's going to transition to snow as the storm you'll see it like wind up. It's so cool to look at. The storm's going to wind up and generate that cold air and bring in that snow. Now, so here is today, April 15th, when I'm doing this video here. You can see all the different gauges here. Most of them in action stage, meaning they're not actually flooding yet, but they're getting close to that point that you should start to take action. And Wabasha there, we have like a minor flood stage. So meaning it is flooding currently. And this is, again, in the Mississippi River between Wisconsin and Minnesota. Now, as we head to next week, right, because all the snow, we're going to have a little bit of rain, of course, as well, but all that snow in some areas that could fall, some of the models show 12, 24 inches. Again, we're going to get at a little bit later. And you can see that could cause moderate flood stage for Winoma, Wabasha, Red Wing, and then from La Crosse Point south, still minor flooding, right? Because remember, especially when it's going to be snowing up north, the snow's going to melt up here, and it's going to kind of go down the river, right? So you see now by next Friday, now we see the moderate flood stages, in some gauges here to the south, and major flood stage even for Red Wing and Winoma. So that is some really dangerous conditions. And should anything come of that, of course, I'll be updating if anything should come of the Mississippi River. But yeah, definitely a lot of flooding could happen there as a result of a lot of snow and even a little bit of rain coming before that. All right, so now let's get into the modeling here. We got the GFS, the European, the Canadian, and then we're going to throw in the high resolution model and the NAM towards the end after these. All right. Now we're going to be focusing on the storm that's over Wisconsin today, but I will be showing you briefly a preview of a couple of other storms that could be coming here. So you can see what I was talking about, right? See the low pressure here over Illinois? It's deeply strengthened. I mean, I wouldn't say rapid strength. I wouldn't say bombogenesis or bomb cyclone or anything like that. But you can see it's already down to 992 millibars, and it's already tightening up, bringing that cold air, and of course high pressure here, kind of steering the wind flow this way as well. But we've got that cold air across Minnesota, across Iowa. Iowa could even get some snow out of this as well. Not out of the question. And some heavy snow here. Look at this, 987 millibars now. And you can really see that snow is pumping, right? It's just falling across Wisconsin here. And those pinks are like really, really heavy snow. And the low is still there, right? Right, the snow in these areas could start as early as maybe like Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, all right, and then last through maybe Monday afternoon still, maybe by early Tuesday kind of starts to lift away. Right, but I would say Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota are the three states that you should be watching out the most for these impacts here. All right, then another low is going to come along. All right, you can see this one right here, maybe not as strong, but again, that's how this current storm looked when I updated you last. So again, a lot could change here, bringing even more snow to these same areas that could exacerbate that flood threat on the Mississippi River. Because again, it is springtime, so that snow is going to melt pretty quickly. Right? And then maybe even, I'll go a little bit far out at this point, but maybe even a coastal low going off the East Coast may bring some snow to New England. All right, but now we're getting a little too far out. Just wanted to preview that, and I'll preview on the other models as well, see what they say. But focusing on the storm up north here, you can see the GFS model pumps out like 3 feet of snow on northern Wisconsin and northern Michigan. I don't know if it's going to get that high, especially with the, I mean, they say 60 inches. I think that's a little too much. I think some areas, some isolated areas could get a couple of feet of snow. I don't think that's out of the question, considering how heavy the snow is going to fall. But I'd say like 1 to 2 feet is a good maximum here. But they bring 2-3 feet all the way down, that area where the watch is in Michigan. I'd say GFS is a bit of an outlier, though. I would definitely going to wait to see what the 12Z model run says. But 1 to 2 feet is certainly not out of the question here. I just think exceeding 2 feet is getting a little much as of now, but of course, we will be seeing how this plays out. All right, let's take a look now at the European model, right? The 0Z run of the European model. You can see again, low moving to the north. It gets to Wisconsin, it just starts deepening, it starts turning, and you can see right here that snow that's falling across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and there it goes. Okay, just kind of sitting there and spinning. Snowfall kind of initiates. Well, again, there's your rain first. And the snow comes in about overnight Sunday, early Monday morning. It's not lasting quite as long. I mean, by Monday night, it's pretty much gone. So still a good bit of heavy snow, but it's not really lasting as long. But don't worry, there's that other system coming through. All right, and then that's about it. All right, so let's take a look at the snowfall totals. All right, so this is the total for both storms, but we're actually just going to get the first storm first to see what the first storm could bring. And still, that red represents eastern Minnesota, northeastern corner of Iowa, western Wisconsin. That's over a foot of snow in that red coloring. So again, still a lot of snow, and outside of that, a widespread area of over 6 inches. So this can cover enough ground. We can see winter storm warnings come out, and we could even see winter storm Wayne be named here. All right, but now once the other storm comes through, those totals could result in as much as for western Wisconsin and southeastern Minnesota, up to 24 inches of snow. And again, widespread area of a foot plus and 6 inches plus just across the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Wisconsin there. All right, and even the northern part of Michigan as well. All right, let's get into the Canadian model now. And I feel like for the northern regions, I feel like the Canadian model is a pretty good representation here. But they could get a little snow heavy at times, but I think the GFS is that's a hard one to beat. I think that's our outlier for here. But there's the low pressure coming through. You can see the snow already coming in kind of like Sunday evening, Sunday night. As the low lifts to the north, cold air and more cold air will be generated. Again, there's your kind of high pressures here, kind of helping to steer that wind a little bit as well. And you can see the snow falling across Wisconsin. Even Chicago could even get some snow there a little bit, right around Monday rush hour. So that's going to be interesting for Chicago there. But again, a brief period of heavy snow. I mean, it does last a good bit. I mean, it lasts through the day, Monday afternoon, Monday evening, but I don't think any of them having the storm last as long as the GFS, and that's probably why they pumped out that snow. So if the low sits there and stalls for a little longer, we could get over 2 feet of snow in not just a few areas. But again, the consensus for now is like about a foot to 2 feet as a good maximum. And as most people are not going to get that, most people get like 6 to 12 inches. Because remember, even though a lot of snow is like what's projected by these models, I'm not saying it won't fall, but remember, rain is coming beforehand, and temperatures above freezing will be there before that snow arrives, and they will eventually drop. So that's going to lead to the snow having a little bit harder of a time sticking, but still 6 to 12 inches on the ground, I think could be a good amount here for a widespread view across the northern plains. All right, here's that second storm coming in. You can see it lifting up to the north, a little bit northerly track here across North Dakota, Minnesota, but still a little bit of snow maybe for Wisconsin. And it kind of just moves into northeast with another northeast storm, kind of like what the GFS was showing. All right, so definitely going to be interesting to watch. All right, so total just for the first storm, they have about 2 feet or a little bullseye there in northwestern Wisconsin. Most of the western part of the state, though, maybe around 8 to 12 inches of snow. Maybe International Falls could get like a foot of snow. Maybe even Minneapolis get like 6 inches from this. Chicago maybe even like 1 to 3. So definitely going to be interesting to see here on the western side of Michigan here. Maybe just like west of Ann Arbor, all right, around here. Definitely west of Detroit, kind of away on the western side. Still could see a few inches of snow from this. All right, and then as the other storm comes in, all right, maybe a little bit more snow for the Dakotas here. Maybe about 6 to 12 inches. But again, a lot of winter storms coming in across this region. It's like the end of April. It's like winter wants to finish out strong. All right, now let's get into the NAM and the high resolution models here. All right, so here we go. And you can see as we head over the next day or so, you can see the snow already starting to track, or the low, excuse me, starting to track across Illinois and then up into Wisconsin. All right, and you can see the low tracking up here. Maybe some freezing rain, like I was highlighting earlier. There is that threat for freezing rain, northern Wisconsin, northern Michigan, when the storm first arrives. And you can see the snow coming on the backside, and there you go. Boom. I mean, it's just a snow fest here. And Chicago's included in this. Green Bay is included in this. Eau Claire, La Crosse, even eastern Iowa, maybe on the eastern part of the state. Maybe around, I believe, Davenport could be seeing some snow here. Look at the snow, kind of like what the GFS is showing. That low rotates, that rain band moves off, that low stays behind, allowing that cold air to keep funneling in. And that snow is going to keep spinning and spinning and spinning. All right. And the snow is still going into Michigan, Indiana, even Ohio, mixed with some rain, though, by then. You can see a little bit of highlights of green there as we start to get towards the afternoon hours. So keep in mind, this isn't even counting the entire storm because you can see by hour 60, the storm wasn't even over. All right. So, but even when the storm was not even over yet, 12 to 24 inches of snow across northern Wisconsin, UP, and Michigan. Minneapolis could even see a couple of inches here. Chicago on the northwest side of the city, maybe a few inches of snow here. Green Bay, a few inches of snow for you as well. But yeah, majority of the state of Wisconsin, 6 to 12 inches, not out of the question. And finally, let's get into the high resolution model. Here's the low, moving again, coming from the south, Illinois, rising up into Wisconsin. Kind of gets around the Great Lakes area, just starts stalling and spinning. And I think that's why the snow forecast has gone off from the last time I covered this system. Just because of how much it's going to stall and spin. Because that's what I was talking about in the last video. If we could see watches, if the cold air, if there's enough time for cold air to generate, and looks like there's going to be more than enough time. All right, there's that low sitting there and spinning. There's that heavy snow and still spinning into Wisconsin and Michigan. And it goes out as far as hour 48. And even, again, not even done yet, but still over 12 to as much as 18 inches, maybe even like 6 to 12 on the high resolution model here showing for Minneapolis. But again, do know these numbers could be a little bit over exaggerated just because of the rain coming beforehand. So while this could be accurate for what falls out of the sky, what could be on the ground could be a little bit less. But I could still see these amounts falling on the ground, right? Because the cold air is going to be coming in quickly, and if the snow can fall heavy enough, it can still stick. Maybe even an inch of snow for places like Chicago. So definitely going to be covering other winter storms to come. This one definitely looks like a doozy here. Could even be Winter Storm Wayne. We'll see if it does end up getting named or not. But key takeaways here, lots of snow, 12 to 24 inches maybe for Wisconsin, Minnesota, UP, and Michigan. All right, so definitely keep an eye out if those watches maybe could turn into warnings pretty soon. So thank you guys for watching. I am The Weather Dude signing off. Till next time, I will catch you guys in the next video.